Riding Side Saddle. It's Lisa.
And Tammy.
We're back.
Together.
Yes.
Together again.
I've missed you.
I have missed you too. I really missed Deidre.
Yes.
I'm so sad that I could not make that happen. Man.
That's just the way
I know
it goes.
it is, but I missed it, and I'm sad that I missed it. It was a really good episode.
Thanks. It was a really, really wonderful episode. I've listened to it a couple of times since then.
Yeah.
Gotten a couple of comments from listeners, and it fills my heart.
Yay.
Yeah.
I hope it fills Deidre's too. She's not the only one who found herself in a spot like that where you really thought it was going to work out and it fell apart in a colossal sort of way, and your entire world gets tossed upside down. She is not alone in that.
Agree.
At all.
And those are the biggest points in life that you look back and say, it fucking sucked, but thank God.
Right. Because if that had continued for another X number of years, I don't think I'd have made it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That. So it does.
It's a hard stop in the road, but it's a necessary stop.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
So she's doing great.
Good.
She's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing as a young woman, and that's learning.
For sure.
Right.
Right. I think that's the meaning of life right there, honestly. Right? The older I get and the more I learn and the more I continue to learn and the more things I realize I still need to learn, I think that's the meaning of life.
It is. It is why we're here.
Right?
We literally, before started recording, said, okay, I get it. Like, we had a really, really deep conversations during our planning session. It had nothing to do with planning for Riding Side Saddle.
No, it didn't actually.
Really just catching up with some life stuff.
Yep.
And we both realized that we have some really big work that...
Big old piles of poo that need tending.
Oh, my gosh. And I said, I'm tired.
Right?
Like, I feel like I have done so much as a person in self-discovery and making changes to who I am and you know, evaluating what I've done in the past and what I aspire to be and how I aspire to, you know, move forward in the world. And fuck,
Tired.
Like, I'm tired.
Tired.
It is not easy work.
No.
Those big piles of poo are heavy.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Carrying them around is heavy. Just looking at them sit there is heavy.
And then you have
and
to
doing
do
something about
with
it
them.
is heavy.
Woo.
I need a beach vacation with a cabana boy to bring me umbrella drinks and not do any work at all.
Pronto. Books.
Yes.
Ass in the sand.
That's it. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
You felt me going to say something else,
No,
didn't you?
I didn't, but that's all I'm doing. So I don't know what you were going to say, but I don't need any excursions. I just need to do nothing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I can pack light.
Yeah.
Just swimsuits.
At this point, I'll get that at the airport. I'm not even going to pack. I'll just go.
Seriously, this
See
is
ya.
the second time that you've said that to me recently.
Because I'm not kidding.
She's like, you can get your undies at the airport.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Grab your passport. We're out of here.
It's the only thing you need.
Right. It truly is. Passport, your driver's license, and a credit card. Let's go. And I have two of those three things with me right now. And I know where the third one is. We could go today.
Seriously, one of these times,
I know, right?
you're going to be
Like, for real. We're out of here.
realizing that I'm taking you up on that shit. Then what are you going to do?
We're out of here.
All right.
Calling in sick. We're out of here.
Just take me somewhere with white sand.
Right?
That's all I need. And
There you
ocean
go.
waves.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right.
For
We'll have to figure that
real.
out. I'm down.
For real. All right. Well, we've said it.
Okay.
So
there it is. Put it out there.
take that away, universe.
I'll wait for it to happen.
Yep. I don't have to worry about how.
No,
I
it just will.
need to present with what I
I'll
want.
just dust off my passport.
I'll pack a pair of undies in my purse. I don't really trust the airport undies, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, well, maybe just don't wear any then. I
They're
don't
gonna
know. I feel like the worst thing that happens is you don't wear underwear. Is that really that bad? You're on vacation. Who cares?
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. But when you don't wear underwear and you get a wedgie, it's a real
that
wedgie
would be a bummer.
that everybody's going to see.
That would be a bummer. Wear skirts. I don't know what to say. Swimsuit bottoms. You get those swimsuits at the airport too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Solvable
fine.
problems.
That's
These
fine.
are all solvable problems.
Okay. I will run with you.
Okay.
I'll run it.
All right. Someday we'll be on location. You'll hear seagulls and waves crashing in the background, and you'll know what happened.
And me walking gingerly because the airport undies were chafing. But I won't even care.
No, because you're sitting on a beach. They
That's
shouldn't
right.
be doing much of anything in
That's
your
right.
underwear.
Just sand in my crack.
That's better than underwear that don't fit.
All right, count on it.
All right. All right.
So,
Well, till next time then.
right. We got to go back to
Yeah.
planning this
Yeah.
beach vacation.
Right?
That's funny. So while we were talking tonight about what in the world are we going to talk about, one topic that came up in conversation was reflecting on periods of time in our lives that, we thought that the bottom was falling out, like something really big happened in our lives and or my life specifically, and I thought, oh my God, like I don't even know how I'm going to recover from this, or this changes the direction of my life like entirely. I can't even fathom what is going to be the fallout from all of this. And in those situations where, it feels like so big and so monstrous and probably so terrible in that moment, and in retrospect, it ended up being like not even really big deal. Like it was this big, giant, like,
It was bigger in your mind than it was in reality.
or it was big in reality, but in retrospect, like the impact that it had in my life was literally
Not
hardly
as
nothing.
big as you thought it would be.
Right. As opposed to periods of time in my life when I made decisions or did things that really didn't seem very impactful at the time. But in retrospect, in looking back years later, like that point in time or that decision that I made changed the whole trajectory of my life. Like it's ironic to me how it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like comparatively speaking, right? Like the big earth-shattering things in your life that happen should have really large impact and change the trajectory of your life.
do.
They do sometimes, but I've just noticed that many times when I get myself really worked up about something that happens, and rightfully so in the moment, it doesn't actually have the fallout that I was
Expecting
it to have. Yeah. So conversation just kind of started that direction, and I was thinking about different points in time when in fact that held true for me. In fact, I think one of the biggest ones that I can speak to is when I found out I was pregnant with Liz. I've said it before on an episode. It was not a pregnancy that I had planned. She was
a surprise.
She was a grand surprise. She was, my second daughter. Deidre was 11 years old when Liz was born. So there was a really significant gap in period of time. And like, did it change my life? Of course. I became like a full mother again, started over again in that
you have
moment.
2 children.
Yes. But in the moment and that period of time, I was like, I have ruined my life. Like, what have I done? I'm not going to be able to recover from this, right? Before I was a single mother of 1 child. Now I'm a single mother of 2 children, and I'm, in my mid 30s, and I am like literally starting over as a single parent. And like the level of impact that I thought, that negative impact I thought that was going to have on my life, was it impactful? Yeah, like it was. It changed my life, but it was not nearly as terrible as what I made it out to be in my head for myself.
Do you think a lot of that was based on fear of society because of societal expectations?
Yeah, I think that was a really big part, in fact. Like, I remember thinking to myself, like, how am I ever going to find somebody now who's going to, like, want to be with me and want to have a family, right? Like, moving forward, a relationship, a committed relationship, maybe marriage, and nobody. I have just ruined my.
Nobody will want me now.
That, which is so ridiculous,
silly. Right?
It's so ridiculous.
Sure.
But I did truly think that way, at that time. It was really shitty, and of course that did not happen, right? Scott and I, we didn't get married at the time, but by the time she was barely 2 when we started dating. So, like,
clearly that didn't hold true.
No.
Just about the time you were even ready to date, there somebody was.
Right. Right. Didn't stop him.
He's tenacious.
He's tenacious, all right. So that's I guess that's one really good example of that for me. On the flip side of that, and I was just trying to think, there's bazillions of these examples, I think, in my life, but another example on, conversely, would be when I was working in Brookfield at the time, and at lunchtime I would go and do errands and window shop and all of these different things. It was a cute little area of town, and it was busy, and I needed something to do at lunch just to get away from work or whatever. And I noticed a little it was kind of in a strip mall little area, but it was a oriental exercise class place. And I stopped in there, and it was like there was just a couple of people there. They were kind of talking to somebody else, and I left because I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, this isn't what I imagined it was. Yeah.
Gym.
Yeah. So I just left. And then, like, a week or 2 later, the owners of this place came to my office. Because we worked in a complex, so there was lots of businesses in this particular building, and they were promoting their new business. Yeah. So it caught my attention again. And I was like, well, dang, this definitely needs to be something that I check out. Because I used to be very active. I used to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I had stopped doing it during that period of time. And this was an opportunity for me just to restart, focusing on my body. And it was very close, and I could do it at lunchtime. And it was one of the most important moves I have ever made in my life, because what had happened. So I did start to go there. And in fact, my dad also signed up. So we would come together and we would work out at lunchtime, which was a really unique dynamic for us at that time. And I really it was a period of time that I will never forget, in a way that I connected with my dad differently than any other time. And I know
he loved it too, because he told me.
Yeah. He did. He did. And I do miss that. I do miss that with him. But that moment of deciding to go there and restart that, exercise routine ended up creating the opportunity for me to navigate towards alternate health care when I got sick for the second
That was
time.
a huge turning point for you.
It literally saved my life.
It did.
And it was because I chose to restart that exercise.
Wow.
Like
that one little stop in that strip mall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it feels so like it was
what
just
a minor decision,
a
right?
little tiny
a little
thing.
curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was exactly it. Oh, I wonder what this is about. Oh, I feel a little awkward now. I don't know what this is. I'm going to leave. And then it knocked
and then
again.
They showed up.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I had not followed that through, I would not have been introduced to the services and the care that I received that changed my whole life.
It did.
Literally changed my whole life.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's a great story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And everybody has those, right? Like not
I don't
exactly.
know. I'm trying to think of one. I don't know
but
if
not
I do.
but not exactly the same, right? Like of course, that is a really big one for me.
Yeah.
But every person has those moments in time where they're like, oh shit, if I
hadn't done that, then this wouldn't have happened, and that was big.
That, right. If I hadn't ran back home because I forgot, a file folder at home that morning, something else happened, right? Mm-hmm. It blows my mind, actually, how...
Wow. I think that's why stories like that are why I say you are where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. And you meet the people you're supposed to meet when you meet them. Because there's no, that, it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Exactly. There's divine plan that has to play out.
Right.
And
so you're put in that place.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like intuition. Remember,
Yeah.
we used to talk about intuition and how it's quiet. Right? It's not the big loud, pay attention to me. And I'm realizing as I'm telling these stories, right, these experience in life where it's like, oh my God, 5-alarm fire. Everything's going to come down. The whole shit's coming down because of this. Those aren't the biggest pivot points. Are they things that you have to navigate through and work through?
They can be, though.
Yes, they can be.
But they're not always.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the way I said it, I made a general statement, and there's always a spectrum. But I guess what I'm trying to say is even those tiny little things,
sure,
they have a ripple effect that can be so
Absolutely.
much larger than what they
seem
start out to be.
Right. And I wonder, because you are always where you're supposed to be, that when you've gone so far off the plan,
yeah,
that's when those really big things happen that are major transformative points. Mm-hmm. But if you had backed up along the way, you know what I mean? And then made that one little decision like you're talking about, and it set you off on this different path. If you had not done that, would you have ended up in this other way down the rabbit hole sort of thing? It all blows up and it essentially tosses you into the place where you were always meant to be.
Tammy, first off, yes, I entirely agree with you, but I really feel like you have set this up so that you can talk about Matt Damon.
He does have a movie that is very similar to this, The Adjustment Bureau.
You set this
and I
whole
do
thing up
like me some Maddie.
deliberately.
I didn't bring it up. You did. deal. I mean, that is a good movie.
And it really corresponds with what we're talking about here,
It
right?
absolutely does. Yeah.
And it's Maddie.
And
So-
it's Maddie. Yeah, right.
We can pull him into any conversation, and it will work out.
It'll be fine. It'll be more than fine. Oh, that's funny.
But now that you say that, in all reality, that's probably exactly what it was. So what you're saying is that perhaps before the big thing happens, maybe there were like 1 or 2 or 7 or 15 or
It was the little
55
quiet
little
taps.
things that I could have done that would have like sent me in the trajectory.
Hey, pay attention to me.
Right.
A little tiny whisper, and you didn't.
Right.
Hey, we're really, pay attention. Another little whisper. Whisper, 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 and they're ignored until you get to a place where all of a sudden, no more ignoring.
Yep.
You are off the plan.
You're changing. Very similar to the conversation that I had with Deidre last week. Like, universe
Yes.
says, guess what?
This isn't where we
gonna
need you to be.
change.
So, yeah.
Now we're amping it up a little bit.
Right.
Right. And
right.
we're gonna
it's not
force
a whisper
this
anymore.
a little bit more.
Now it's a giant knock.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you ignore the giant knock, then we're just going to push you over.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
That.
Thank you for making that come through completely. Because I had not connected those pieces, but I think you're entirely right.
It does feel that way to me anyway. That when I've ignored things, then a big thing has to happen.
Interesting.
Relationships that I should end. But I can't, because I'm the nice girl, because I don't know how, because I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, because it's too complicated, because what will people say? And then it blows up in a really spectacular way.
Yeah. Or you're in a cycle where you have deemed that you have to convince somebody to act differently towards you, which is another thing that we talked about tonight. And it's your job to convince them to treat you well, but that never happens, right?
No.
Until it just blows.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm sure I have examples like that. I know I do. But recently, it was something that was similar but different. I had perceived a situation a certain way, and I made a really big deal out of it. It's not that I was wrong. It just wasn't all that I thought it was. And when it came to my attention that it wasn't all that I thought it was, it made me stop and reflect. So I made this big giant deal out of something that wasn't really a big deal. It was a deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal.
Your reaction was bigger than
Absolutely.
than the situation at hand.
For sure. What it boiled down to, basically, a lack of communication. I thought I had communicated very clearly. I don't believe the other person involved received that communication. It was most of it was written. I think they just didn't read what I wrote.
Got it.
And it turned into a great big giant thing for me.
Right.
I gently reminded them
Of what you had communicated.
Correct.
And they may not have received.
Right. And that solved it. But in the meantime, I had myself good and lathered up. And it was removing the joy for me from this whole entire situation. That something that was supposed to be fun now wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was completely reconsidering maybe I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm just out.
You're
like,
done.
I'm just done. That was
Right.
it. It was one time
It was a
and
bad
I'm done.
idea.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Again, I had gone so big when I didn't need to get that big. And part of it is because I stay small so much.
Yeah.
That I thought this is going to teach me how to not be small. Watch me be big. And I went too far. Mm-hmm. And having to take a step back. So while it's sort of what you're saying in reverse, right? Like, this was a little deal that I made into a great big deal, but it's having a big impact on me.
Yeah. Internally.
Yes, correct.
From a reflection perspective.
Absolutely. Right.
Not because of further action.
Nope. It's not. It is not truly life altering, right?
Right.
But it is impactful.
Yeah.
So sometimes these are just little, I don't know. Not necessarily a gift. It's a little, snickety snack. A little nugget.
Snickety snack.
A little nugget to
A
chew
little
on.
life nugget.
Yeah.
Nougat.
A nougat?
Snickers
The nougat.
nougat. Get stuck in your teeth. Find it later.
Maybe so.
Longer.
Maybe it's like a Snickers.
A little peanut stuck in your molar.
Yeah, right?
Gross.
Right.
Comes back up later. Not gonna,
where'd that come from?
Not going to eat that. That's disgusting. Now I have to spit that thing out.
Yeah, it did kind of taste like that. It was bitter, that's for darn sure. Yeah, it for sure was. And I don't know. I think it is those moments though, right? Where you can reflect. We started this out by saying the meaning of life is learning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so any of those little things, whether little things or big things, right? A lesson is a lesson. Sometimes they're little, sometimes they're big. A pivot point is sometimes they're tricky.
They're tricky because you don't realize the intensity of them until later.
Right.
Maybe years.
Right. For sure. Sometimes those pivot points are small and sometimes they're big. Sometimes it's just a tiny little shift. Sometimes it's a complete turn around and try again.
It amazes me. Whatever your belief system is, God, Jesus, like the universe, source, however you want to describe it, there is so much beauty in all of this because it is all by design.
It is.
Every single thing is by design to be able to invoke us to learn the things that we need to learn. Whether it was, your situation of, I thought I was learning something and actually in reflection, I had a little bit of a different lesson that I, in fact, learned like through that process. Or big things like Deidre and, her like life experience in the last couple of years, or little tiny things that just don't seem like they're kind of just part of life and really not that big of a deal. A simple decision that ends up being monumental and shifting your life. Like every one of those things is meticulously orchestrated. It's all planned out. It blows my mind. It fills my entire heart and it blows my mind at the complexity of it.
Wow. I guess I didn't really think of it quite like that. I'm not saying you're wrong. It feels less like we have free will when I think of it that way, though.
But you do have free will because you can still make any decision.
Until your whole world collapses.
But you still can choose. You absolutely can choose. It's more like, okay, you chose the first 7 times, and it wasn't what we wanted you to do.
So that's not really free will then.
It still is. So it's like learn your lesson, because every time there's going to be more chips in, right? It's going to be there's going to be more skin in the game. And that is fucking true.
That is true.
That is
for sure true.
So true, but you still choose. You can still do it whichever way you choose to do it.
So, okay. So you're going to learn this lesson.
Yep.
The free will comes in and how many times you want to do it.
Yep.
How many times you want the lesson to show up.
Yep. And how much skin in the game.
Yeah. How bad do you want it to hurt?
Right. Right. You're going to learn it.
Oh, boy.
You signed up to learn it.
And learn it you will.
Fuck yeah.
Eeps.
Yeah. And I've been on the skin in the game side of that far too many times, too.
For sure. Whew. Yep. Well,
I don't have anything more to say about that.
No. So learn your gal dang lesson already, I guess. Do your work, learn your lesson.
And then you get another one.
Or
and
the same one, but
in
a different form, and you don't even realize it's the same lesson in
Accurate.
a bigger way.
Accurate. It's that same concept that we've talked about before with relation to the spiral. The lesson itself is central, but every turn of the spiral gives you a new perspective of that lesson, and it presents in a different way. It's like, I didn't even realize I was stepping into the same lesson because it doesn't look the same.
Right.
I know how it looked the last 3 times I fucking did it.
I thought I already learned the lesson. Why am I seeing it in a different way again?
Right. Or through a different view.
Yeah.
Right? Seeing it in a different way, correct. Like the same lesson is being presented to you to learn again, but it looks different. But also from a different perspective. Like, oh, I learned this lesson when it was happening directly to me, right? But now I'm seeing it through the eyes of, somebody who's a little bit further removed, somebody who has 20 years more experience, somebody who isn't directly involved with the lesson. Do you know,
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, there's just it's like a kaleidoscope.
Oh,
like you turn one thing and then
all the different colors and shapes fall into different pieces. And then you turn
a little bit of a different section and even more come through that are incredibly unique.
Right. Do they still sell kaleidoscopes?
I
think I want one.
Tammy, I'm so blessed with this. My mother-in-law gifted me a beautiful stained glass kaleidoscope.
Really?
A glass one.
Wow.
And many years ago, and I adore it.
Yeah.
I adore it.
That was one of my favorite toys as a kid.
So beautiful.
I have to see if I can get one for myself.
Yeah. They're phenomenal, and I will look through it on occasion and have these very thoughts about the slightest little turn.
Yeah.
And of the dial and of the, there's multiple dials you can do, and it's gorgeous.
That is a pretty cool gift.
It was, I cherish it.
That little side note.
Just
curious. Yeah. Do they even make those anymore? Yeah, apparently they do.
Yeah.
Apparently they do.
The kaleidoscopes of life.
Yeah. Yes. Got my wheels turning. All right.
Your kaleidoscope wheel?
Yeah. It is.
On the spiral?
Yep. All right. I think we have to wrap this up.
These are big life
They are.
thoughts that don't really have answers, and everybody's view is a little bit different, but
Sure.
it is something to consider
Just
and
interesting to
contemplate.
talk about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
It
all right,
is.
we can wrap that up
Okay,
then.
very good. Mind Garden Media. Todd, thank you very much.
I was so thrown off without you last week that
You
I
forgot to mention him.
totally forgot to mention it at the end. Plus, I was getting bitten by 1,000 blood-sucking mosquitoes.
That's not good.
So that threw me
It's
off a
time
little
to wrap
bit,
it up
too.
right now.
It was.
Yeah.
So, Todd, thank you, and my apologies for not saying anything last time around. But I need Tammy to. She chimes right in at the end, and she's got it all down.
Yeah. Well, if you are interested, I don't have anything down, but if you are interested in doing a podcast, Todd's got it down.
Yeah,
So
he
give
does.
him a ring and shout out on Facebook. He'll find you. You can find him there.
Absolutely.
And also,
Thank you for our listeners.
Yes,
we
always.
appreciate you.
absolutely. So, where are we at in season 7? Is this episode 10 or 11?
It's
somewhere in
11.
there?
It's 11, and I think we need to wrap this bitch up pretty
I do
quick
too.
because this season just needs
It's
to
been a rough,
be closed.
never ending.
Yeah.
The longest season on record, really.
I think you are right.
And I think we're going to have to modify a little bit going forward. So we do need to talk about the book that never ends also.
Women that run with the wolves.
Yeah.
She does not stop running.
Oh,
she
no.
just keeps going.
The book just keeps going too. So I don't even remember where we'd left off, but we could figure that out. We need to decide if we're going to pick that up again or if we're going to call that done. And we might need to modify our episodes going forward. Every week is a lot.
It is in the season that we're in right now.
It is.
We have some decisions to make,
Yeah.
and we will certainly communicate so that you know where we're at with things.
For sure.
And
But we're thinking
keep
about
riding
some
with us.
adjustments.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging in.
All right.
Till next time.
Bye.
Toodaloo.